So good morning, everyone. Morning. Really nice to be here. Last time I stood on this stage, I stood about here with a bottle of champagne in my hand. That was when we went public. I don't know if Adam was here. His US team was here. So I've been asked to talk to you about the story. How do you take a small startup from Myllan outside of Lund, yes, I'm from Skåne, to be a global successful software company? And what have we learned along the way? And what are some of the things that I think we have made the right decisions on along the way to take us to where we are now? Right. Oh. Okay. So, as previous speakers have said, I am very proud to stand here as a Swede and see that many Swedish companies are leading innovation in the world today. Think about it. We saw a phone. I would recognize Spotify. I would recognize Ericsson, IKEA, H&M. Don't forget the last wave of gaming companies, King.com, a client of ours, and recently Minecraft. And I think we're very, very well positioned to continue that wave. We are one of those as well. We started out as a very, very small company in Ideon, which is a science park in Lund, with somebody having a great idea around visualization and data. I joined the company 14 years ago, 2000. We had 25 employees, 11 customers, and did about 2 million in revenue. Now I know it. Fast forward to today. It's hard to believe when you stand here. 14 years later, 34,000 customers, 2,000 employees, and well on our way past $500 million in revenue. And we've done it by focusing on a few things. Making it very easy to interact with our software. As mentioned before, we sell a business intelligence and analytics platform so that you can turn data into information, very high level, insightful information that you can benefit from. There were lots of challenges along the way. All the big stack vendors, of course, try to crush us. That's the IBMs in our world, or the SAPs or Oracles of the world. But we set out to do something that was differentiated at the time. That's why we disrupted the market. We focused on one primary thing: your experience using the software. Has to be dead simple to use. A few takeaways from our journey that I want to talk about that my experience tells me has been the right decisions for us. And hopefully some of you that are young entrepreneurs could pick it, could learn from it, or even could question it. The first one is focus. In 2000, we had a great technology. We decided, let's focus on the business intelligence market. Let's focus on the market of analytics. Let's focus on the user's experience with the software. Is that 20 push-ups for that? Sorry. And at the time, no other company in our space, or in enterprise software in general, had that focus. Their focus was on talking about nuts and bolts, bells and whistles. Probably not interesting to most of the users. Another thing that we focused on was not to go out and open up offices everywhere in the world. We took one region, one country at a time. There's another reason why we did it. We couldn't afford to open 2 offices at a time, so it had to be one at a time. But again, being poor at the outset is also something, poor in the sense of a company, that can learn you a lot. Because being poor is the mother of innovation. You have to be creative with the scarce resources that you have. The next thing that we made a decision on already in 2003 was to go global. We decided then to move our headquarters to the United States, which we did in 2005. For the number one reason, This is the market that's most competitive. If you can make it here in our industry, tech, you can make it anywhere. If you think you have competition in Sweden, forget about it. It's a breeze. It's nothing from what this country will stare you in the face. But it also gives you a tremendous opportunity because it is the largest tech market in the world. Again, if you make it here, you can make it anywhere. We also differentiated how we go to market in two ways. One which I talked about, the user experience and how they interact with information, but also how we sell. So we don't go into an account talking about the product per se. What we lead with is the experience that you can have with a product. We talk about a tangible problem that you might have around data. We decide with you as a client, how can we help you solve that problem, and what would the outcome be, and what would that be worth to you? Even if we have a customer that's very excited at the outset, we don't sell them more than a little bit of software because we don't want them to. Let the first project prove itself, stand on its 2 feet, and then we can expand from there. We call that land and expand. Others have copied it after us. But we want the customer to be successful. We don't want to move software over to a customer and leave it with them as shelfware. To even make it easier for somebody to interact with our software, and how many of you have used Qlik in the room? So I have a few from my team. There's plenty of opportunities to sell here, guys. That's for sure. If you want to experience Qlik, our recent product, Qlik Sense, it's free for personal use. You can download it from our website. It's a fully compatible product. You can build as much as you want, use it for as long as you want. There's no time constraint. That was also new and revolutionary to the market. The next thing, which is something that Renee knows well that I am passionate about, is the management style of our company. This is where I've taken some of the Swedishness, and I don't think for most of you in the room, I assume you have Swedish angle to or background, is new, but it is new from a global company. So this is about empowering people. It's about inviting people into the discussion. Everyone that joins our company, every one of the 2,000, has been to Lund for a week of introduction, Qlik Academy. That's where you learn our culture. That's where you learn our software. That's where you learn about our strategy and direction of the company. We also, in 2004, created a set of values that we hold very close to ourselves. This is how we act and behave towards ourselves. And I think they're founded in the roots of the company being Swedish, meaning we believe in the team. We believe in inviting people onto the team. If you're a leader of Qlik, your job is to make your team successful. Back then, there was less literature on this. Today, it's becoming more commonplace, but there's a very good book called Good to Great by a guy called Jim Collins. Some of you might have read it. It's about trying to pull from your own ranks. It's about empowering your employees. It's about building the best teams. And it's very clear to me, I usually use a few one-liners. And one of those that I love is, do you want to be best in class, or do you want to be part of the best class? Without patronizing Americans too much, they will rather be best in class. Wrong answer. You always want to be part of the best class, because a team will always win over an individual. That's what we have learned. So 3 things that I've carried forward in my management style. Number 1, be very open and honest with people. Try to be as personal as you can. Try to be as authentic as you can. What do you get in return? Well, I've learned if I'm open towards people, they tend to be open back towards me. Empowerment. We do invite every employee into our discussions. We hire people that are better than ourselves. It's the only way that we could grow this fast. And today we be represented in more than 120 countries. It could not have been done with me or a few of my executives. Our number 1 job is to hire the greatest people and make sure that they feel comfortable to taking it forward. I talked about the team before. I think the number one thing is to build great, strong teams, specifically in this world where you see the consumer getting a stronger voice. How are you going to listen to that consumer? How are you going to take the consumer's feedback and build that into the next version of our product? The phone that Steve showed, I can show you a phone. This phone wouldn't exist if you listen to customers. No way. Innovation doesn't happen that way. Innovation happens that you listen to customers' potential needs, or you create a need. You never listen to their suggestion for solution, because they will never know. Then it's not disruptive. So this brings me back to when we went public, July 2010. And the number one thing that I have learned being a Swede is, if you want to grow something to be big, you have to start by thinking big. The word lagom doesn't apply, guys. If your ambition is to be big. Doesn't mean that you should go out and be fluffy and totally unrealistic, but set your target on something that is almost impossible. Otherwise, you will never get there. If you think small, it will be fulfilled, I can assure you. I don't know if you won't recognize it on this picture, but this day that we went public was an enormously proud day for me and for us. Everything on the billboard was red, and when we went out, it was green. And our corporate color is green. So it was great to see one green in an ocean of red, because it was a down market day and we were up that day. So we've built the company from nothing to $500 million, probably one of the larger success stories in tech from Sweden. But here's my biggest takeaway from this. Most is undone. Why couldn't we do it again and build this to 10 billion? I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying we aspire to do something. Because 98% of our market is still untouched. That's just the mentality and thinking that we foster inside the company. I don't know if I have time for any questions, or anyone wants to ask a question, they can do so. Okay. Please.
Hi, my name is Agneta Rosenberg, and I think this is such a wonderful story. And I just have to mention that I met at Comdex, I think 1995, the founder of Qlik. And at that point, he had like a new way of doing Excel spreadsheets. So I was just curious, to what extent is he involved, or how did he benefit?
Yeah, so did you meet Björn or Stefan?
Yeah, Björn, yeah.
Björn Berg, yeah. So sadly to say, Björn Berg passed away in cancer last year, but he is the founder. So the true story about the software that we have is what was just told here. It was somebody who built models in Excel around color coding. And he realized that if I want to visualize large sets of data, Excel is not an easy way. You got to scroll your way to forever. And then he decided that, what if we could make a software where you make a selection, and that selection turns green. Everyone knows the green color from the traffic light. That's an okay. And everything that's associated with your selection, meaning that answers to your question, turns white. And everything outside of the non-selection in the data set is the grayed out. It's grayed out. That was the thinking that went into the software. Björn had a great idea. He never did build the software. The guy that built the first version of our software still works for us. Interesting. It's not often that I hear somebody, I met Björn back in the days. This is a Swedish crowd. They're shy.
I have a question.
Until 8 p.m. after a few snapses.
Lars, one question before I pass it over to Per-Jörgen here. Why list in the U.S.?
Yeah, so for us it's very, very obvious. We wanted to build a global company. We're well on our way at the time. the liquidity on this market, to our understanding, and what we plan to be, and today is, our largest market. We have about 35% of our business in the United States. It was obvious for us. It was obvious for us to go here, and I don't regret it. I think it was absolutely the right decision. Sweden is still a relatively large market for us, much larger than it represents in number of people. But tech is big in the US, liquidity is bigger here, and if you want to penetrate this market from a sales perspective, you can benefit from the listing on NASDAQ tremendously from a marketing perspective.
Can you please share, because there was a time, and I know for a fact this, that in 2004, 2005, you had a very, very big crisis in your company with, your previous CEO was about to be fired. There was a strife among the shareholders and a pretty nasty situation. How did you overcome that?
Yes, I might correct you a little bit. The previous CEO wasn't fired, but what happened was, in 2003, we brought to the board the idea of going global, meaning there should be a bigger marketplace than just the Swedish marketplace. The board at the time didn't believe us. They thought we could at best build a company that would get to about $30 million in revenue, or the equivalent. Shame on them, they were wrong. So what we did, me and the previous CEO, we went to our shareholders, brought them together and got a shareholder vote to go and raise money outside of Sweden. So we raised venture money from two leading funds. One is Excel and the other one is JVP. Excel is the lead investor in Spotify. They were the lead investor in Facebook, and has been a tremendous help for us up till about the date we went public. But I can tell you, prior to that crisis perspective, there was a time when we had so little money, we were tomt på kistobotten, as we say in Sweden, that we were 4 hours away from bankruptcy. But that teaches you a lot. You appreciate standing here a lot more, having been through that.
I have a question. This is Steve. I know from my personal experience that the biggest problem for me coming here from Sweden was that I thought I knew America. I spoke the language, I'd seen all the movies, I heard the music, I wore the jeans, and go on and go on. I didn't know anything.
Nope.
I made tons of mistakes.
Yep.
What is your word of advice to a small Swedish entrepreneurial company who wants to enter this market? What to look out for?
Yeah. So it's a very good question, and I would agree with you, sir. People that travel here on vacation and come back home and say, oh, I understand Americans. No, you don't. Because you've just met them as acquaintances. It takes a much longer time to get true friends in this country, and it takes many, many more years to understand the diversity of the country and the people. And I am on that journey now. I've been here 8 years. I would give you this advice. It's a continent, it's not a country. Just as you wouldn't go out and open up offices in every country in Europe, pick a region in this country and conquer that first. That's what we did. We are much, much stronger on the East Coast than we are on the West Coast of this country. Surround yourself not with Swedes, but with local people. You can be Swede yourself, and you can bring a few people with you. I am the only Swede that came over in our office. We have a Swede in the office here now. We're outside of Philadelphia, headquartered, but he's employed locally. So he found us because he happened to marry a girl from the United States. So take it piece by piece, and be prepared that it will take much longer time than you think. That is another learning experience I have. Everything takes longer time than whatever you plan to do. Okay, if somebody wants to ask me later, I am around for at least a few more hours. So thank you.